A very good afternoon. It is the 6th of March 2022. Welcome to UBC News Roundup today on this beautiful Sunday. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha and welcome once again. In our top stories of the week, President Yoweri Museveni this week said that government will deal with elements who indulge in acts of torture while questioning suspects. Now, Museveni says Uganda is a democratic country which respects the rule of law, and these acts undermine the strides that the country has attained. He said this during an interview with Voice of America's Peter Cloutier at Nakasero State Lodge. Take a look.
With regional peace and stability as well as continental peace, what role is Uganda playing and is committed to playing to ensuring peace and stability, particularly in the East African corridor?
Our role in Africa, it can only be two elements. Element number one, to tell the Africans the medicine we used. Because there is this medicine which seems to have helped us. So when I meet, wherever I meet, I say, please, the antibiotic I used. And the antibiotic has four elements: patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. And secondly, where our help is required, we help. And we're able to help. Okay. Our soldiers will go anywhere and they will not say, oh, why are you taking me to Somalia? Because he knows. He knows that for the future of Africa, Somalia needs Uganda and Uganda needs Somalia.
Let's talk about democracy and the rule of law in Uganda. Recently, you talked about elections that were held during the pandemic and all. I understand you called on some opposition leaders to meet and all that. My question is President Yoweri Museveni willing to meet your critics and opponents to hash out, because as you said, it's patriotism and building the country together, to talk?
We are meeting, we have a group called IPOD, Interparty
Advisory Committee?
Yes.
Something like that. Okay.
We have some of those, a few who don't come, who don't want to come, that don't attend. Otherwise, we have been having this for the last, actually, almost 10 years now. We discuss everything, party funding. We said the government must fund them following a certain formula according to the numerical strength of the parties in parliament.
Some of these minor parties, as you call them, are saying that the political space appears to be narrowed, and that when they go about meeting their constituents or meeting their supporters, security agencies, including police, are used to stop them. Sometimes they are beaten, sometimes they are dispersed. How do you respond to such criticism, Mr. President?
The friction was over the corona time. Actually, they are the ones who caused the second wave. So second wave of corona should be opposition wave. That's how we get into some friction. Otherwise, there's the radios. Uganda has got one of the freest media in the world. Check how many radio stations are there. They say whatever they want to say. If they break the law, they are accused in court and they fight it out.
One of your critics made waves with claims of torture by the military, and that he has the scars to prove it. They had known you to be against torture, but this is happening. So when you hear that, Mr. President, how do you respond to that?
Well, it's true that some of the people were tortured. I have got some, I've not confirmed about that one, but I have confirmed some other cases. And I took it up because you see the part of the problem of Africa is capacity building. We are building armies and security forces. These come with, sometimes they come with traditional ideas from the village, or they get imported ideas from the former colonialists, like for instance the police force, which was here during the colonial times. They were using those methods. The answer for those is, apart from the documents are there, the laws are there, but the sensitization, to tell them that first of all, torture is not necessary.
Well, that was President Yoweri Museveni speaking to Voice of America and highlighting that capacity building is one thing that Africa has failed to work on. We hope we can progress from that. Still in the course of the week, Premier Robin Nabbanja this week held a consultative meeting with the labour export companies in Uganda to deliberate on the issues and challenges faced by the Ugandan migrant workers abroad. Now, the meeting took place at the office of the Prime Minister in Kampala District. Take a look.
Social media and the mainstream media in Uganda has been awash with different video clips showcasing the mistreatment of migrant workers abroad. The Prime Minister, Robin Nabbanja, held a consultative meeting with the officials from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the owners of labour export companies to discuss how the challenges faced by the Uganda migrant workers abroad can be solved. The Prime Minister called for empowering of the migrant workers and asked the labour export companies to ensure that they advocate for better working conditions for the labourers.
We need to concretize if we are to help our people, or else some of us will stop your things. Yes, we shall stop these things. We remain here when all of us are poor, but when we have dignity as a country. I know the president is bitter about the same, and everybody, by the way, who is concerned, any concerned Ugandan, is not happy the way things are moving nowadays. There could be isolated cases, but even if when something is won and it's bad, and all of us should condemn that.
The Prime Minister asked the labour export companies to take note of the concerns of the migrant labourers to avoid tarnishing the country's image. The Minister of State for Labour, Honourable Ngola Charles, said the ministry has taken a number of steps to resolve the challenges, including licensing the labour export companies in the country and stipulating the conditions necessary to transport labour so that the workers enjoy gainful employment. He, however, noted that there is need to publicise the benefits of labour externalisation.
The benefits associated with the externalisation labour program include employment opportunities, improvement in incomes of the households of migrant workers.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Mr. Chibenge Agre, highlighted some of the conditions being set by the ministry to ensure that Ugandans seeking employment and those working abroad enjoy favourable working conditions.
We entered agreements with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have agreements, an MOU, with the United Arab Emirates. There are other agreements we are supposed to work on with Qatar and the other Middle East countries. And there are also contracts that have been entered between these companies and the migrant workers. So we agreed that there must be strict enforcement, because when you look at those agreements, they provide for the rights of our people. There are things that are happening that contravene what has already been provided for in those agreements.
In some of the circulating social media video clips, migrant workers cite acts of human trafficking, organ harvesting, and sex slaving that they are exposed to, among other challenges. Most of the migrant workers are situated in Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Oman, and Qatar. In Uganda, over 200 labour export companies are licensed and operating. Derina Sasida reporting for UBC News.
In more stories during the week, President Yoweri Museveni this week advised prison authorities to ask Ministry of Internal Affairs to provide them with construction materials. Now, he explained that prison service authorities need to build more prisons and get enough accommodation for inmates and staff instead of using contractors. He was passing out 2018 warders and wardresses at Kololo Independence Ground in Kampala District.
And the parade
President Yoweri Museveni has passed out 2018 recruit warders and wardresses, the largest number of recruits Uganda Prison Service has ever had. The number of prison staff is now 2,689, which is 26% of the whole establishment. The new recruits have completed a basic course in political education and ideology, Uganda Prison Service duties and responsibilities of prison officers, administration and sentences of imprisonment, human rights and due learning.
The recruit warders and wardresses passing out today are the first contact of a prisoner as he comes into the prison. Therefore, how they treat this inmate at first contact is very important. And as such, they have been trained to be professional and observe the rights of prisoners in whatever they do.
President Yoweri Museveni passed out the recruits and urged prison authorities to request materials from the Ministry of Internal Affairs and build prisons instead of depending on contractors.
To do the work yourself, so that the only cost we are struggling with, that we should be struggling with, to get enough prisons, enough even accommodation for the staff themselves. We should be struggling with the money to buy the materials.
Internal Affairs Minister Major General Kahindo Tafiri urged government to increase the capacity of ICT court processes.
Prisoners walking to court can be conducted while the inmates are in their place of abode and the judges are in their chambers.
Uganda Prison Service authorities say 52% of the prisoners are on remand and drain the resources. Congestion in prison is now at 360%, which affects mobility and mortality of inmates. The Commissioner General of Prisons, Canon Dr. Johnson Byabashaija, said the fundamental problem is in the criminal justice system.
I think these improvements will cascade through the DPP, through the investigating arm of police, and eventually to prisoners. So the only way we shall tackle the big population of remand prisoners.
The new recruits have been advised to stick to the core values of Uganda Prison Service to grow their career. I'm Nafka Farida at Kololo.
The Vice President of Equatorial Guinea and also Minister of Defense and National Security, Teodoro Nguema Mangu, this week held a meeting with the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Vincent Bamlanzechi Sempija. Now, the meeting at the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs headquarters in Buea, a Kampala suburb, was at a courtesy call aimed at strengthening the existing cordial relations between the two countries and cooperations in defense.
His Excellency Teodoro Nguema Obiang Mangue expressed his gratitude for the existing brotherly relationship between Equatorial Guinea and Uganda.
For this warm welcome and organized for us this visit that we are here in Uganda. Like you say, Minister, our relation is now is a brother relation. You know, we feel at home when we're here, because we live with our brother. The program couldn't be finalized because of the COVID. So that's why with this renewal of this agreement, we're gonna start again and prepare a new list of a group of people to come and do all the training that we spoke yesterday with the President.
The Vice President noted that forthcoming renewal of the MOU will facilitate the exchange of military trainers and promote trade between the two sister countries. Speaking at the same meeting, Uganda's Defence Minister Vincent Sempija lauded the existing cooperation between the two countries, especially in the area of defence and security.
Since those arrangements which you agreed with His Excellency the President, we needed to do our signing very fast so that everything is covered by the legal paper. So we are more than willing to cooperate whatever you think we can do together.
Minister Sempija further applauded the delegation from Equatorial Guinea for finalizing all processes that concretize the MOU on defense and security. The meeting was attended by the Permanent Secretary, MODVA, Mrs. Rosette Biengoma, UPDF Chief of Training and Recruitment, Brigadier General Matthew Gureme, Defense Spokesperson, Brigadier General Felix Kulaije, Deputy Chief of Personnel and Administration, Brigadier General Eugene Sebugwao, UPDF Deputy Chief of Legal Services, Kano Wandela. The delegation from Equatorial Guinea included the Minister of Exterior Security, Juan Antonio, Vice Minister of Defense, Candido Ngogi Ngono, and the Director General Defense and Recruitment, Argelio Ndong Nkosi, among others.
In the medical world, the Executive Director of Mulago Hospital, Dr. Byarugaba Terana, was this week charged with 4 charges of misuse of government funds, misuse of office, embezzlement, and causing financial loss to the government of Uganda. The Director State House Health Monitoring Unit, Dr. Loren Namara, says that Mulago administration failed to account for approximately 28 billion Ugandan shillings.
Was arrested by State House Health Monitoring Unit on alleged offences of embezzlement and causing financial loss of 28 billion to government. Since Monday this week, the Executive Director, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Byarugaba Terana, has been in police custody pending investigations. He has been released on a police bond after recording a statement.
We have managed to secure his release on police bond. Sureties were the Honorable here and the doctors who are present.
He is proved guilty or he himself pleads guilty. In all these circumstances, when Dr. Baterana has been accused and brought in detention, he's an innocent man. He has not been charged, he has not been convicted because he has not been tried anymore.
But a letter signed by the Permanent Secretary and Minister of Health shows that he has been interdicted.
But we can assure you that we shall challenge that interdiction. The due process of the law has to be followed. If you are the PS, like we have seen the interdiction signed by the PS, and you write to the person and say, let him be investigated by a board, and at the same time, as the person is being investigated, you interdict him. So that interdiction is wrongful.
Like as I said, fighting corruption or asking somebody to account is a proper thing to do. We all support it. But you don't do that using illegal or corrupt means. They are exposing themselves that they don't follow the proper procedure. And courts are there to separate us.
The Chairman, National Organization of Trade Unions, Wilson Yoweri, and Dr. Deogracius Munobe from Mulago Hospital stood sureties for Dr. Byarugaba Baterana to be released on police bond. Wilson Yoweri expressed the need for further investigations in Mulago Hospital and Minister of Health.
Because if we are trying to get on one person, who is his supervisor? What was his supervisor doing? Why is this thing going around? The Director General, the Permanent Secretary must be there. Those are the people. Actually, the Permanent Secretary is the accounting officer, is the supervisor of Dr. Byarugaba. There have been a lot of problems. The health system is in a serious problem.
Police retained Dr. Byalugaba Baterana's passport pending investigations. He will appear at police on 9th March 2022. Dr. Byalugaba Baterana will answer charges of embezzlement and fraudulent false counting of 28 billion shillings. Deborah Namamonde. Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Now, the hearing of Thomas Koyelo, a former Lord's Resistance Army combatant, kicked off at the International Court Crimes Division in Kampala. Prosecution witness number 21, a detective in charge of general crimes attached to Gulu Police Station, was one of the witnesses. Take a look.
Witness number 21, age 44, informed court on how he got a call from the CID office attached to Gulu Police Station, informing him of the attack by the Lord's Resistance Army at Pagaka IDP camp. He added that they visited the scene of crime and found over 39 dead bodies and stranded residents. Among other incidences found at the scene of crime were 544 burnt huts, helpless residents, some with visible wounds, looted foodstuffs, including abducting some of the civilians.
Some had fire burns, others had cuts on the body, and others had bullet wounds. Those were the victims from Pagak.
Since some of the bodies of the deceased were already buried by the relatives, witness age 44 and the CID officer agreed to do the post-mortem report the following day, on 18th May 2004. However, before reaching at the scene of crime the following day, they were informed of another attack at Lokodi IDP camp by LRA, and over 25 people were killed. Here they requested relatives of the deceased to retrieve the bodies for post-mortem. Witness age 44 presented to court the police forms, which indicated the entire post-mortem reports. During cross-examination, the defense legal team rejected the presented evidence.
The manner in which the witness, my lords, is answering is as if he is reading the post-mortem report, and that's prejudicial. Otherwise, I'm objecting to this question, this set of questions, unless it's qualified that these were the presumed cause of death, because at that time, the post-mortem report was not.
Prosecution witness number age 45, who also testified in camera, was the inspector of police attached to Police Public Relations Office and was in charge of taking photos and videos at the scene of crime following the attack.
I kept on recording on the video camera as we were going. We proceeded to Lacho Hospital. We reached a point of a school where I saw a signpost of Lukodi Primary School.
Court adjourned the matter to 3rd March 2022 for further hearing, and the accused Thomas Koyelo has been remanded to Luzira Government Prison. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
3 landlords in Barra City are willing to surrender their land property to squatters and tenants on condition that government compensates them first under the land fund allotment. Now, the 3 landlords made the commitment during a community land engagement convened by the Lands Minister Judith Nabakova in Barra District. Take a look.
As part of her 3 days working tour in Ankole sub-region, Lands Minister Judith Nabakova continued engaging residents over land matters. The affected are mainly those facing forceful evictions.
One so-called Peter Bangamba, he claims that
During the engagement held in Bukashe Parish in Imbarwa City, one Pete and others are faulted for initiating evictions.
And there's also another individual, the one you have been hearing, called Bibangamba, who titled the parish headquarter land here in Bugash. But it is my humble request that the officers, government officers who are involved in issuing those titles should first be arrested to enable investigation to go on.
Look at my grandfather there, that old man. When he's gone, what will his children do?
However, unlike in other areas where the purported landlords keep on shunning such engagements, here they were in attendance.
Landlord abasatu fenna twakanyiza kimu nti abantu abo bonna boolaba baganda baffe mikwano gyaffe tusomye nabo bwe tuva councillors tiwali alowoozezza nti alikeera enkya n'agobawo abantu abo mu kitundu ekyo. N'olwekyo minisita, eddoboozi ly'abantu abo abasatu tukusaba tuteese nammwe
In this meeting, the landlords expressed willingness to surrender part of their land property to government once they are compensated.
Mumpe sente tuziryange naffe tukyali balamu bwe tubanga kinyusi mubeere serious ekyo ekisanja kye tulimu mujje okukaaba kw'abantu.
Zopio, yes, we need to open up the boundaries of this area.
Yes, Honourable.
The landlords are willing, the community is eager, meaning that the exercise cannot be halted.
Honourable, thank you. Honourable.
And then I would suggest also the CGV comes with the team to assess, because we need to know if they want government to buy the land, we need to know the cost.
The willingness of the landlords to surrender their property to government, especially to squatters and tenants, was a welcome move in resolving land disputes.
And after agreeing, both teams, ministry, the community, the leaders and the landlords, then I'll take up the matter with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, mubuulire bye tuyiseemu ne we tutuuse asobole okubanga abagulira ettaka musobole okubanga nammwe mufuna ebyapa.
Nabakoba, who is in company of the Assistant Commissioner, Surveys and Mapping from Entebbe, Opio Henry Genyi, are in Ankole to hold similar engagements throughout the weekend. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Barra City.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, this week questioned the role of Parliament in the implementation of the Parish Development Model. President Yoweri Museveni launched the Parish Development Model recently in Budaka District. Now, the Deputy Speaker, Anita Among, has now asked government to address the Parliament to key guidelines and policies spelling out how the 490 billion shillings project will take effect. Take a look.
On Tuesday last week, President Yoweri Museveni launched the Parish Development Model to increase household income. He also assured the public that the guidelines to implement the inevitable program are in place. He also appealed to respective leaders to cooperate with government in the implementation of the program.
We can conserve elephants in the national park. Conserve the swamps, but not conserve poverty.
Despite President Museveni's assurance on the guidelines, Parliament wants to be involved.
Government, this is a non-partisan matter. 2, we need the members of Parliament to do their oversight role in their constituencies. We need full involvement of the members of Parliament.
And in the consultations that we've been having, I remember we agreed that the role of members of Parliament should be well pronounced before we roll out the parish model. And we want to avoid a similar scenario that was with the parish model, with the Myoga.
The Minister of State for Finance and General Duties, Henry Musasizi, failed to convince the legislators.
I am just wondering where this idea of post-bank comes in, because as far as we are concerned, we will be sending money to the accounts and there is no intermediary in between.
But the Honourable Minister, my fellow Catholic, you are saying money will go directly. Can you give us the accounts you have opened for those parishes?
No.
You come to my parish, you will face me.
What the Catholic is saying is very true. The other day I saw a meeting, people were having a meeting in my district as coordinators. Why can't I be a coordinator when I'm a woman member of Parliament? How do you bring people who even don't speak my language to be coordinators of a parish model in a certain area?
The legislators say some parishes have already benefited from the funds without their notice as the approving authority. The Deputy Speaker, Anita Among, has provided space on Thursday this week for government to brief the August House on the finalized key policies and procedures to implement the parish development model.
We are going to communicate to the Minister of Local Government, prepare a statement to members of Parliament, and including the role the members of Parliament will play in oversight role, in monitoring and supervision.
Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gwitabinji, UBC News.
On the floor.
The Assistant Parish Priest at Christ the King Church, Reverend Father Serugari Mijis, this week urged the faithful to have a spiritual renewed journey during the Lent season. This was during the Ash Wednesday prayers held at Christ the King Church in Kampala District. Ash Wednesday is a day of repentance when Christians confess their sins and profess their devotion. Take a look.
Our team spoke to different religious leaders this Ash Wednesday to gather their views about the importance of Lent period.
Ash Wednesday is to prepare us for this special moment when we need to draw back to our Lord, make a deep understanding of who we are, and try to recorrect where possible, but with the grace of God accompanying us on the journey. Not forgetting that we are making this, carrying on this because of what happened in the desert, the 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert.
Wherever you go, wherever you are as an Orthodox, in order to enter well in the Orthodox fasting, you have to forgive all people who have done you any wrong. But you also have to seek forgiveness from your brothers, that when you enter in the fasting period, you feel that really in your heart you have no grudge to anybody, and you feel maybe nobody has a grudge against you.
These mammoth crowds of Christians in attendance during the Mass at Christ the King reflect the importance of Ash Wednesday since it marks the start of Lenten period leading up to Easter.
This is a period for us, dear brothers and sisters, to make a reconsideration and always find out that the merciful God is always waiting for us to go to the wells of His flowing mercy, to tap the possible graces that there is to accompany us on the journey of life and faith.
On the same note, believers have shared their views and expectations on Lent period.
I call upon all my Catholics, all Christians, please come back to God. Come back to God. Let us come back to God.
We have to be vigilant to all our brothers and sisters who are there suffering in all aspects of their life.
Your MBs are now bigger MBs only on MTN. When you load a daily bundle of 250 shillings, you no longer get 15 MBs, you get 30 MBs. For 500 shillings, you no longer get 40 MBs, you get 80 MBs. For 1,000 shillings, it's no longer 100 MBs, it's 180 MBs. Dial *150*10# or use the My MTN app to load bigger daily bundles only on MTN.
MTN is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Sheikh Ramadan Muwajjeh, the Mufti of Uganda, states, let us all take the necessary precautions.
Prevention is always better than cure. Let's not go for prayers in mosques, congregational prayers, unless we are masked. Carry your own prayer mat. Sanitize at the entrance. Let's all value the gift of life.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, It is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chijja kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.
Double MBs. For the same price on daily bundles with Airtel, now you get double MBs for twice your enjoyment. For 250 shillings, you now get double. That's 30 MBs. For only 500 shillings, you get 80 MBs. And for 1,000 Uganda shillings, enjoy 180 MBs. All valid for 24 hours. Dial *175# or use the My Airtel app to enjoy double MBs on your daily bundles for the exact same price. With Airtel, the smartphone network.
You're still watching the UBC News Roundup today on the 6th of March 2021. In our business stories during the week, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, this week said that NSSF savers eligible for mid-term benefits will start applying next week beginning the 7th of March 2022. She was addressing the media in Kampala, and on the 2nd January this year, President Museveni assented to the NSSF Amendment Act 2022, forming a law upon publication of the Gazette on the 7th of February that some savers above 45 years will be eligible to midterm access. Take a look.
A member who is 45 years of age and above who has made contribution to the fund for at least 10 years will be eligible to midterm access to his or her benefits of a sum not exceeding 20% of their accrued benefits. And 2, a member who is a person with disability and is 40 years of age and above and made contribution to the fund for at least 10 years is also eligible to access midterm for a sum of 50 years of his or her accrued benefits. So the meaning of the phrase contribution for at least 10 years will mean that a member should have made at least a saving for 120 monthly contribution to the fund. Application will be online. We encourage as much as possible that you apply online. Of course, if you have difficulties, NSSF has offices up country. You can visit those offices and you will be supported to make your application. And for you to apply, you will need your national identification card. If you are not a Ugandan, you will need your alien's identification card. If you are a refugee, you will need your asylum seeker or refugee registration documents. This is always issued by Office of the Prime Minister, and you will need your national social security.
Now, the Minister for Works and Transport this week, General Katumba Wamala, inspected the progress of Busega and PG Expressway, where he confirmed that most of the issues that had derailed its completion have been fixed, and is optimistic that the road will be ready by 2025. Despite the challenges faced, General Katumba urged the community to cooperate during the construction of this road, and we have details on what transpired this week. Take a look.
The Busega Express construction, which was slated to run from November 2019 to May 2022, registered slowed progress due to the 2 years COVID-19 lockdown. With only 2 months remaining into the initially designated deadline, the contractor is overwhelmed with the workload at his exposure. During the inspection of the road construction progress at Busega Expressway, General Katumba Wamala outlined the key issues that slowed the completion of the road for more than 2 years ahead of the earlier expected time frame.
They had to protect the environment and the swamps, but at the same time realigning the project to go close to the swamp but without compromising the swamps. So both of these caused some change, some delay, and these were major ones.
Minister Katumba Wamala says 15% of the progress has been realized, although there is much hope of swift work to be done once all stakeholders in this road construction play their part.
We have given ourselves some tasks and time frames for each one of us so that we think by April, end of April, we should have dotted the I's and crossed the T's and addressed most of the issues concerning this project to enable the contractor now to move fast.
Busega-Mpigi Expressway, which is expected to cover a distance of 23.7 kilometers off Busega to Mpanga Forest in Mpigi district, shall contain 4 toll plazas, 13 bridges and several interchanges, as well as access roads, expected to further spur economic development not only nearby communities but also across the country. This road shall be the second after Entebbe Expressway, where all roads users in motorized means are expected to meet toll fees.
To reduce on your time of travel between Kampala and Mpigi, and also between Kampala and the further areas. So it's a worthwhile project and good enough. Eventually it will be linking into Entebbe Expressway. It will link into the Northern Bypass.
Abdul Nasolo Lubwama and Kenneth Tanaba, UBC News.
Now, Uganda is on the verge of liberalizing the pension sector after a reform agenda that has been dragged on for over a decade. Although liberalization is critical for sector growth and competitiveness of the economy, there's a call for improvement of the pension system and savings culture. Despite a rapid growth in working population, sector players such as Octagon are concerned about low coverage. Details follow in this report.
Having ventured into Uganda in 2013, Octagon Uganda is currently managing a business portfolio of over $150 million, among them the largest schemes licensed by the regulator, Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, UBRA. With close to a decade in the country, Noaha has an insight into the sector development, growth projections and investment opportunities.
The pension industry in Uganda presents a great opportunity. Other than the NSSF that where members contribute 15%, it presents a great opportunity for the informal sector. Informal sector, which include agriculture and people who are not in the formal employment, they have a good opportunity that the liberalization that is likely to come up will be able to help the members contribute.
With the pension sector facing liberalization, Octagon is already strategizing on how to best tap into the new business opportunities for growth and development.
Liberalization will bring opportunities for the industry and basically for the economy. Look at the listed companies like MTN that has issued an IPO. It would mean that institutional companies which are having pension schemes like Bank of Uganda, NSSF, and also occupational schemes are the ones going to participate into the IPO and over and above the retail client. So if there is a liberalization, it would mean there are many schemes that can participate in that IPO, and indeed, of course, it would be oversubscribed.
However, all these expectations are anchored on the population saving culture, which is still very low.
It needs a lot of financial literacy that will enable members to start saving, and this I think would call for even government policies where it would go through investment clubs when people are still at a young age, so that by the time they start working, they already have that culture of saving and knowledge how they can save. So in terms of income, money is made to be invested, but not to be consumed. So money needs to be earned, saved, invested, so that it can save you in the future. So that's the kind of financial literacy that needs to be taught at a tender age, so that it can help the members when they start working to have this culture of saving, which will improve their livelihood when they are no longer working in old age.
Octagon Uganda is a subsidiary of Octagon Africa, which has been in existence in the East African region for 15 years, providing services in retirement benefits, training, actuarial services, and insurance brokerage. Dennis Ikoa, for UBC Business.
It's time to teach. Schools are open. In these days of COVID-19, teachers are not only giving knowledge, but protecting themselves and their students from the virus. As a teacher, you must ensure that students follow the set SOPs of always maintaining a distance of 2 meters from others in classrooms, dormitories, entertainment halls, school vans and playgrounds, wearing a washed and clean mask every day that covers their mouths and noses, and regularly washing their hands with soap and water. In addition to that, you must counsel students about stigma related to COVID-19 and discourage them from violence. Any violence against students from classmates, teachers or parents should be reported immediately to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Ensuring everyone's safety is key, so make sure students are out of class by the official closing time. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Apart from the variety of architectural styles in Kinshasa, high-rise apartment blocks, luxurious appointed banks, stores and the offices of large corporations and government agencies that characterize the center of town, tonight our reporter Benajiga looks at Kinshasa, the city filled with monuments of all types. Among them is the statue and mausoleum of Loren Kabila, assassinated president of the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2001. Towering in the middle of traffic city East Kinshasa is a 25-foot-tall statue of a bald-headed, door-looking Laurent Desile Kabila, former leader of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Let's have the report. The best way to enter Kinshasa is by air. Kinshasa Airport, located outside the city, is becoming one of the busiest in Central Africa, with flights in and out from different parts of the world. Most of the key administration buildings, embassies and offices of international organizations lie at the center. Apart from the variety of architectural styles in Kinshasa, high-rise apartment blocks, luxuriously appointed banks, stores, and the offices of large corporations and government agencies that characterize the center of town, the city is filled with monuments of all types. Among them is this statue and mausoleum of Laurent Kabila, assassinated president of Democratic Republic of Congo. Towering in the middle of a traffic circle in Kinshasa is a 25-foot-tall statue of a bald-headed, door-looking Laurent Desile Kabila, former leader of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, who was assassinated in 2001. With his finger raised to the sky, a small book grasped in his left hand, and dressed in pleated military slacks and button-up, the statue built in 2002 is among the notable structures in Kinshasa city. A few meters behind is the tomb of former President Laurent Kabila, who died at 62 years in 2001. It is worth seeing, although reaching it involves passing through several layers of security in the middle of Kinshasa's main government and diplomatic quarter. The statue was built by a group of North Korean artisans who work abroad as the Mausoleum Overseas Project, and is among dozens of monuments the North Koreans built throughout Africa. Mausoleum projects have been built in at least 17 countries in Africa that include Angola, Algeria, Benin, Botswana, Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Equatorial Guinea, Ethiopia, Mali, Mozambique, Namibia, Senegal, Togo, and Zimbabwe. The company uses North Korean artists, engineers, and construction workers. In Angola, Mausoleum Overseas Projects constructed the President Agontiho Neto Cultural Center in Luanda. In Benin, they built a statue of Behazin, who is considered to be the 11th king of Dahomey, modern-day Republic of Benin. In Botswana, they constructed the Three Digosi Monument, also called the Three Chiefs Monument. In Ethiopia, they built the Tiglachin Monument, also known as the Dag Monument, a 50-meter-tall or 160-feet pillar erected in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 1984. In Mozambique, Mansoudia Overseas Project constructed the Samora Macho statue in Independence Square, Maputo in 2011, while Namibia is the only country to have commissioned 4 public works by Mansoudia Overseas Project. In Senegal, the company built the African Renaissance Monument. In the north of Togo, close to the village of Sarakawa, a monument was erected with a huge statue of the late President Gansingbe Eyadema. In Zimbabwe, the Joshua Nkomo statue was constructed in 2010 in Bulawayo. And in Democratic Republic of the Congo, a statue of Loren Desire Kabila was a Congolese revolutionary and politician who was the 3rd president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo from 1997 until his assassination in 2001. A longtime opponent of Mobutu Sese Seko, he led the Alliance of Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Congo, a rebel group that invaded Zaire and overthrew Mobutu during the First Congo War from 1996 to 1997. He became the first president of the country whose name was changed back to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He was later assassinated by one of his bodyguards and was succeeded 10 days later by his 29-year-old son, Joseph Kabila.
Start the year off with my Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's 7 minutes to 2 p.m, but we're still going with UBC News Roundup. Now, government is fully committed to ensure Uganda gets success at the upcoming Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England. This was confirmed by the National Council of Sports General Secretary, Dr. Bernard Ogwell, during the 2022 Uganda Olympic Committee annual general meeting at Lugogo.
Uganda Olympic Committee has hosted its first annual general meeting under the leadership of Dr. Donald Rukare.
And we look forward to an exciting 2022 where we're going to be focusing on preparing Team Uganda for the Commonwealth Games Birmingham 2022. So it has been a very successful AGM.
It was graced by National Council of Sports General Secretary Dr. Bernard Patrick Ogwell, who reiterated government commitment to ensure sporting results define Uganda starting at the upcoming Commonwealth Games.
Government will release the necessary financial support. And as we talk now, we have been assured by government of support for the preparation and participation of Team Uganda. But of course, this may come in the next schedule of the supplementary of government, which you know, between March and June, and May. So my words to the federations is to work closely with National Council of Sports and Uganda Olympic Committee to identify with the priority areas that can be sourced and supported. Because what I know is athletes cannot wait for the money to arrive, then they start training.
Uganda's next international sports assignment is the Commonwealth Games, at which Moses Mwase will be chef de mission and offers update on the latest across the board with about 145 days to go.
We're also helping the teams to ensure that the selections are done transparently, professionally, but we're also working on a code of conduct to ensure that we don't have these unusual teething issues that come with these major games.
This annual general meeting proposed a 2.4 billion shillings budget for 2022 and also admitted 2 new members, Lacrosse and Uganda Dance Sport Federation.
Yes, it has been a great honor. Now we are a fully recruited member to UOC, and now we shall call upon our athletes to prepare 2020 for Paris, because now we have a right coordination with our national Olympic body.
The latest inclusions bring the tally of Olympic sports in Uganda to 33. John Barnes, Sentamo, reporting.
Now, Kampala-based She Corporate has maintained its beaten start in the Federation of Uganda Football Association's Women's Super League after come from behind 2-1 over hosts Cardinals at Uganda Christian University, Mukono. This was a game of the only two unbeaten sides in the 10-team Federation of Uganda Football Association's Women's League Super League. Now, the home team started the better and got due rewards when Shadia Nancha was highest to Marshall home a delicious Hasfana Suna across a 1-0 halftime lead. But for the second successive match, She Corporate fought gallantly in the second half of sheer resilience to level fast through favoured Nambatia from the sport after a handball by Masin Nablobi. What followed was late drama as UCU was caught on the counter with Bruna Nantege feeding a Team Imelda who slotted past the advancing goalkeeper Hadija Nalongo in what turned into the last meaningful action of the game. The result puts daylight between the two teams with She Corporate atop the standings, they're standing with 13 points, and UCU second on 10 after 5 games. Well, that's all we had for you today on UBC News Roundup. Thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha. Have a lovely week. You can try doing something new, do something that makes you a better person. And remember, this Lent period, so it's whatever you want and whatever you want to see in your life change. Have a good afternoon and a blessed week ahead of you.
With my Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This week on UBC.
When we talk about equality, we say let boy children and girl children all receive what belongs to them as children.
Our Super Soul Sister today is someone that is definitely going to be talking about.
Long ago, in some cultures, a girl would not go to school. But as we speak now, in all cultures in Uganda, they know that a girl is as valid as a boy, because for the girl child to be successful in any positive venture, there must be the participation